I'd greatly appreciate it if you clicked on the original post link in the description and sent an update their way. I know all authors appreciate it, and it helps the algorithm get their work out there for them. Thank you very much. Anyways, on to the story. This particular story is called It Was That Simple, written by FarmWhich4275. Jessica chased me down the corridor. The final jump sequence had started, and she knew where the jump drive was taking us. It was bound to happen, but no way to stop it now. Good. You cannot be serious. You are taking us to see those madmen, she barked at me, her voice echoing through the corridor. Yes, I am. Where did you think we were going to go? The Devarians? Those idiots are just as screwed as we are, I remarked coldly. Don't you remember the stories? What are you going to do? Do you remember what happened to the Tyrannacy? You remember, right? You haven't gotten senile from your old age, have you? Venom leaked from every word she spoke. Clearly, she didn't have a high opinion of me anymore. Oh, yes, I do. That was funny. Jumped the entire fleet into the border system and got turned into paste after their pompous bastard commissar spat out his first paragraph. I have to wonder, how long was his speech? I asked idly as I kept walking the bridge. You can't be serious. What do you intend to do exactly? We're a refugee frigate with escaped slaves. What the hell are we going to do against them? The feather throws on her head were at full attention now. She was not happy. Something we haven't done in over 2,000 years, for some reason. Now get back to your station, I ordered blankly. Her voice changed to stern and authoritative, her beak chattering aggressively. I have to protest this course of action, Captain, she said. I nodded and looked at her, glaring her dead in the eyes. Then you can enter an escape pod and make your way home. We cannot afford insubordination. She stopped in her tracks, and her feathers wilted, nervously retracting her wings in a defensive posture. She bowed her head, not in submission, but in sorrow. I can't do that. I know, Jessica, I know. None of us have that option anymore. Look, I know how bad the situation is, and even considering where we are going, it cannot possibly get worse, can it? I asked. She stood nervously for a few moments, considering my words. She reluctantly shook her head and stomped her way back to the station of the aft deck. I sighed, the burden of this charge getting to me, and returned to the bridge. I got similar looks of concern and anger from other members of the crew. The gunnery officer specifically, who was carefully nursing a bottle of wadrot. I let it slide this time. Each job wasn't that important for the trip. Not even the Red Walkers are crazy enough to come to spar from the segmentum arm. I sat in my seat and watched the clock. 15 minutes to jump. I looked this time to gather my notes and records, carefully reading and reorganizing them. They were absolutely critical to the entire process of this journey. I had to make sure that they were as perfect as I could get them. 10 minutes. I checked everyone's stations and made sure that they were as ready as they would ever be. 5 minutes. I checked my notes again. I had to be certain. 1 minute. Momentary panic as I triple-checked service calculations. We were good. The ship's hull shuddered under as the drive finally started to spool up. The universe vanished in a flash, and moments later we all collectively screamed as we returned to real space. We jumped into one of their absurdly insane ringworld systems, a gigantic construct of flat planetary plane facing a large star, which itself was surrounded by a swarm of solar arrays and structures they call a Dyson swarm. Absolute madness. Pure damn madness. The warships in the system noticed us before we even arrived, as within seconds we had their absurdly large local fleet swarming us. Before I could think, I was staring at the business end of a Titan-class ship, or at least what we considered a Titan-class ship. If we wanted to, we could easily fit our small warship inside the barrel of the thing's spinal cannon, and that's the small one we're facing. The big ones were to our starboard and port, all aiming at us. Being hailed, my comms officer barked. Reply and request video feed, I ordered and collected my shivering bones from my seat. The request was processed, and soon enough I was staring at the legends from ages past. A Terran. This one, more heavily armored, clearly military, its face obscured by its helmet. But it was clear it was a Terran. Nobody else in the galaxy has that profile. State your business and be quick. I am missing a guild tournament for this, he barked angrily. I stared in awe for a few moments, collecting my mind. I almost broke the sight. An actual, real Terran. I was looking at an actual human. likely the first to do so since the collapse of the Galactic Confederacy over 2,000 years ago. I'm sorry, I can't feel my legs at the moment. I need to, where are my notes? Hold on a moment, I replied, in terror, and hastily retrieved my notes from the pockets of my seat. Oh, here they are. Sorry, this doesn't bode well. I better not be doing overtime shift again, he growled, his voice clearly very annoyed. I swallowed nervously and shuddered a bit. I am sorry for the circumstances, Tara and I found some things, and I'm only here to ask some questions. I just want to talk, I replied meekly. I see. He raised a hand and made a motion with his hand. Then his image disappeared. I tilted my head and wondered what was going on. We were still connected, but he was gone. All right, then, I heard an agitated voice behind me say. I turned and visibly aged a few decades. He had teleported into the ship and was standing on the bridge. Myself and several others screamed in horror and jumped out of our seats. You wanted to talk? Then let's talk. His presence radiated an aura of pure, malicious energy. We could clearly see the personal shield generators on his armor, shimmering around him. He was taller than I was by 2 feet and could easily rip anyone on board the ship apart with his bare hands if needed. I dribbled and scrambled to find my notes so I could talk to him, maybe apologize for the interruption, then go home with a tail between my legs. He got tired of waiting and grumbled at annoyance as he grabbed me and hauled me back to my chair, slamming the notes I was reaching for in my lap. Can we get this over with? I may be immortal, but that doesn't give you the excuse to waste my time. He barked angrily, crossing his arms. I scrambled to find the notes I was looking for. I read it carefully, and then cleared my throat. Hello, humans. It has been a while. Please excuse my intrusion, but I would like to have a chat with you about something. I can come back next week, if it's not convenient, I said, reading the notes I wrote word for word in somewhat robotic tone. His head tilted to the left. Didn't see that coming. That calmed him down, apparently, so I went on with the momentum I was given and started reading my notes. I apologize for my unscheduled entry into your sovereign space, and under such circumstances, I have recovered some of the data logs of the old conference council, including some files you may find useful or interesting. They are yours if you want them. But I have to ask you something first, I watched in response. Okay, go on, I had his attention. You see, Terrans, and by we, I mean the galaxy as a whole, to quote an old Terran phrase. I flipped the page and read it carefully, and recited it. Completely, utterly, absolutely boned. We are super ultra mega boned, screwed, and whatever else you can think of, and I'm here to honor an ancient forgotten tradition from the old days of the Confederacy. Politely asking for help. That did something. Who knew that Terrans were so scared of words? He stepped back and his arms dropped. The aura of militia surrounding him vanished in an instant. I didn't want to lose my place, so I kept going. We in the galaxy at large are currently facing a litany of crises, including galaxy-wide food shortages, due to a strange fungal parasite being spread by a crazed religious group. We have pirate clans in almost every corner of space, engaging in all the criminal activity you can imagine, draining what little wealth we have. The galaxy is on the verge of economic and social collapse, and one planet has already bombed itself into oblivion to escape extortion from the pirates. I had somehow befuddled him and made him go limp. He was glaring at me silently, blankly from behind his helmet visor, almost as if he was trying to retrieve his forlorn mind. In short, humans, we are the Akimbo, the Ducani, and the Pulakai. We are super mega ultra boned, and I'm here to politely request assistance. So please, can you give us a hand? Thank you, and I hope you have a nice day, I said. I tossed the notes aside and waited for his response. On one hand, my crew were all gobsmacked that this was the reason that we were risking interaction with the Terran Union. This is what I was here for, and I could feel daggers being stared at me by my crewmates. On the other hand, the human seemed to have switched off. He wasn't moving, just standing there glaring at me. I had no way to see his interaction, as I could see his features. What was going on? We stood there in silence for a full minute. Okay, he replied, all too calmly. Before I could respond, we saw a ring world suddenly break apart, except it wasn't. I looked closer and noticed how the shapes appearing with warships being released from their fleet tenders behind the ring world's rear plating. The entire thing was a shipyard, too. Faster than anyone could comprehend, a massive swarm of some 20,000 ships rapidly assembled themselves into a small fleets, and I could tell by the loud beeping noise coming from my engineer's console that the jump drives were charging up. May I have access to your ship's archive, please? He asked. I didn't hesitate and jumped out of my chair, gesturing for him to sit. He sat awkwardly in my seat and used a wearable computer console to type away for a bit. This is fleet designation Fabulous Crabulous, preceding to system designation Coronet. Food and medical supplies on board, 2 minutes. Fleet designation Rat Hunter, armed and ready. Moving to the nearest occupied system. It's time for target practice. Fleet designation, 5-finger discounter on standby. Let's go car shopping. And various other chatters came through. Then, one by one, in quick succession, the Terran Armada vanished into the void in every conceivable direction. Okay, so we got fleets inbound with a few thousand tons of food at every planet. We got a few pirate hunting fleets out. Shouldn't be hard to finish that off. Destroyers versus Titans normally goes well for the small guys. 1 or 2 fleets hunting these religious dudes and a few dozen fleets armed with antifungal agent. Should fix that bust just in case. We are delivering a lot of food supply to everywhere, I guess. Got some fleets that are going to set up field hospitals and comms networks so that we can coordinate with your leadership. Already in contact with them. Don't worry. And, we have a planet we recently terraformed if you need a space to settle for now. I stumbled over my own thoughts for a few minutes as I stood there like a tree, mouth agape, face pale, arms lazily flopped beside me. Eventually, I relocated my cognitive functions. That's it? Just like that? I asked. Yep. Any questions? So many. So very many. But I shall start with this one. What the hell are you even doing that you disappeared from the Confederacy all those years ago? I asked. In short, we were utilizing a megastructure located around a black hole called Penrose Brain, a combination of Penrose Sphere and a Matryoshka Brain, to run simulations, entire universes, different concepts, millions of different debates, and all sorts of other stuff, all contained within a simulation environment so that we could see what happens and act accordingly. It's why it was so fast to find the fungal agent in the time it took you to type out. We had already got the data you had in the fungus thing, ran 100 simulations in how it worked, found a cure, and mass-produced the defoliant to kill it. That's basically what we're doing here, figuring out the mysteries not only of this universe, but all the others too, among so many other projects as well, but that's the big one we got going right now, he said. Oh? Why? Why not? It keeps us busy, at least. Besides, who wouldn't want to run 1 billion simulations? Really kind of sucks, not gonna lie. So it's going to be more fun to do it this way. Besides, keeps us busy while the rest of the galaxy catches up. Seems that you need some help, though, so much for that idea. It's fine. It'll be good soon enough, he replied. No, I mean, why muster force of what has to be millions of soldiers on a whim like this? Why did me simply ask you politely actually work? I asked. Why wouldn't it? If you talk to your crew and they politely ask you to do things, wouldn't you do it? Especially if it made sense. And if you refuse that request, isn't it almost to tell why not? You came in here, apologized for interrupting, politely explained the situation, and then asked for help. You mean to tell me that simply being cordial, or even civilized, is a thing that's rare where you come from? That's kind of silly to me. We basically made a civilization on the concept of cooperation, and manners are the easiest and most direct way to do it. Are you telling me that this is a thing that doesn't happen? He asked. Well, of course we are polite and have manners and such. It's just normally, please and thank you doesn't result in an entire civilization suddenly jumping out of bed to go save the galaxy from ruin, I replied. You know what? That's fair enough. You do have a point there. Out of curiosity, what would you have done if I said no? I have the council records. I know humans like reading, and there's a lot to read. I would probably be made a bargain to provide my ship with its passengers safe passage through to the other Terran space, so that we settle somewhere outside the galaxy's reach, I replied calmly. Good thinking. We would have accepted that bargain. I do like reading, but we have more pertinent business to attend to. First things first, anyone here hungry? It's time for lunch. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.